It's the base.
You know what's funny? I didn't realize that the Super Bowl was coming up until this week when all my coworkers were talking about it. As you guys know, I'm not really into sports. I enjoy playing some sports, but I don't like watching other people have fun for a few hours. But I know you guys are fans of like Super Bowls. You guys are fucking jocks. So I want to know what are your thoughts? Who's playing? Is it the Yankees and the Mets?
Yeah,
it's the Stanley Cup. It's the Stanley Cup World Series.
Let me name two teams that I know aren't involved. Joke.
It's the Eagles and the Jets. The Eagles and the Jets.
Funny.
No, it's
the
the Yankees. No, it's the Yankees. It's the Yankees and the Magic.
Is Manchester United and the Monstars? No. It's the LA
Wait, so
Rams.
who's playing?
LA Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. I always keep thinking St. Louis in my head. I can't get over it.
Oh, yeah. For DK, in case you didn't, of course you didn't know. The LA Rams used to be in St. Louis, but they actually started in Los Angeles.
Yep.
Then moved to St. Louis. Then moved back to Los Angeles.
And they're like, what the fuck are we doing in the Midwest? This shit is stupid.
Because the NFL loves money. And instead of having one team, no teams in LA, now they have two teams in LA again. So
yeah. So I don't know. I really haven't been following the NFL season like that. Like what I'll do on Sundays is that the only TV that I really watch during the week, I'll flick on the afternoon games and just see how badly the Giants and the Jets are losing and how many interceptions Mike Glennon threw and then just turn it off. Like but I've been watching the playoffs with family and stuff. It's been cool to watch. The games actually last round were crazy.
Yeah,
like even like objectively good. Even if you don't give a fuck about the NFL, they were just like actual like movie-esque games. They're good.
Yeah. No, this game, this Super Bowl is kind of historic in a sense. You've got one team, Cincinnati. They haven't been in a Super Bowl since 1988. They hadn't won a playoff game in 31 years. They hadn't won a playoff game, let alone a Super Bowl. They've never won a Super Bowl. So they have no Super Bowl wins, and they hadn't won a playoff game. Yeah, my birth year, Yahtzee.
Y'all own.
Yeah, Super Bowl. So the Bengals are looking for some history there. They hadn't won a playoff game in 31 years. They have never won a Super Bowl.
Sounds bad.
Which is bananas.
They the Mets?
No, they're worse than
the Mets. Honestly, good.
Are the Knicks is the Knicks the equivalent? Like, when's the last time the Knicks actually won anything?
The Knicks.
Oh yeah, the Knicks haven't won a championship since like what? Early 70s?
Yeah, 70s. Definitely 70s.
Early 70s with Walt Clyde Frazier.
But the Knicks have at least been to the finals a couple times.
Yeah.
Over that span. Like I said, the Bengals hadn't won a playoff game in 31 years, which is pretty bad. But
that's insane.
But the quarterback they have, he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. Joe Burrow.
Shiesty.
Yeah, man. Joe Burrow. He's actually he's an Ohio kid. Grew up in Ohio. He started at Ohio State, that terrible school. Then he transferred to LSU and helped them win a national championship. Was the number one overall pick. And typically in the NFL, when you're a shitty team, you draft in the top 5 in the draft. And if you get a quarterback, that's supposed to be your savior. He's supposed to be your guy that helps, usher you to championship contention. And that typically isn't the case, but sometimes it is the case. And the Bengals drafted him number 1 overall after having another losing season 2 years ago. 2 years later, they're in the Super Bowl. So they have a chance.
That's pretty impressive.
Which is impressive. Which is definitely impressive. So I'm rooting for them. I've got a couple friends that are Rams fans, and they're annoying as hell. They hate on Dallas all the time. They send me dumbass memes, and this, that, and the third. And
dumbass, probably accurate memes though. But.
No, they're dumbass. And so I'm rooting for the Bengals. I just want to troll my friends who are Rams fans. Plus, the Rams were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the Patriots. They lost. I got to troll them then. So I'm on my petty wave right now. So I'm rooting for the Bengals. Go Joe Burrow. It should be a good game. I'll be watching it with Cowboy fans here in Jersey, eating a lot of bad food for me and drinking. So, and I'm actually covering the game for the GM Shuffle the next morning. So I can't eat too much.
Yeah, tune into that. We should leave the details for that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it'll be cool to see it. I mean, Super Bowl, I just use it as an excuse to like meet up with people or have a get together or some shit. Like this is as good excuse as any to bring people together. So I think it'll be a good game. I hope it's a good game. I'm also pulling for Cincinnati. Generally, if I don't have a stake in a fight, I want to see the underdog win. So definitely pulling for Cincinnati. And I don't know. I was just there like a couple years ago, and I liked Cincinnati. It's a pretty cool place. They have good food, so I hope they win.
I went to Cincinnati too for the wedding a little while back. It was a nice place, but it's so empty. Honestly, like living in New York, anywhere else just feels like New York slim.
New York light, like a New York light.
No, like even like bro, when we lived in McKeesport, right, and we would go to Pittsburgh, it's like they got buildings, but they don't got the people. Everything's just so empty.
Oh my god! First time I spent like a night in Pittsburgh, I was like, where is everybody? Like, I feel like if there's not like an event at like Pitt, or if there's not like a Pens game or a Steelers game or a Pirates game, it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like there's just like not a lot of people. And I remember walking downtown, like in a downtown area, and not seeing that many people. It was unusual. But different cities, different sizes, there's people, but you got to be in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, Super Bowl's coming up, and just comparing the two cities. I know with LA, it's all about the Lakers. The Lakers basketball, and the Lakers are one of those like American like institutions sports wise. Yep. And plus they've had the success too to go with it. They've won a bunch of championships. They used to be the Minneapolis Lakers, and they moved to LA, and they won a bunch of championships in the 80s, and of course with Kobe and Shaq, and then Kobe when Shaq left. They've had success, so, and even with LeBron, they won a championship with LeBron a couple years ago. So LA is mainly about basketball. And historically, they've been like, yeah, we like our football teams. Like when the Rams used to play there back in the 70s, yeah, we care about them, but they weren't winning championships. Like, so there was never really this like major draw and major like attachment that you would have with other cities that their teams have had success or whatever. And they're really trying to, since they've moved the Rams back there and the Chargers are there now, they're trying to really make LA like a football town, so to speak. And they're going out of their way. They built a new stadium, NFL Network. They moved their headquarters there. They're really trying to going out of their way. The NFL is really going out of their way to try to make LA like a football town.
That's interesting.
So the fact that the Rams are hosting, is a big deal. But trust me, there's going to be a ton of Cincinnati fans. Cincinnati is very similar in the sense of like a Green Bay or a Pittsburgh. Like their football team is their town. Like it is, the city is football. You see what I'm saying? So same with Chicago too. What I mean? Like the old school blue collar town, working people, working class. They love their football. So they're going to be out there in droves. At the bars and I'm pretty sure all week their folk have been out there in full force. So it should be interesting. It should be a good game. If it's a close game, I've said it all week. I've been pretty steady with it. If it's a close game, comes down a wire, I like Cincinnati because they've got the better quarterback. You know what I mean? So,
you think Joe Burrow is better?
Yeah, I think Joe. I absolutely do. I do. Matthew Stafford's a good quarterback. He's definitely shown me a lot this year. You know what I mean? Because I remember Matt Stafford in with Detroit. You know what I mean? Would always put up a bunch of fantasy football numbers, but would suck in big games and stuff like that. Has like a crazy losing record against actual good teams. DK's face is hilarious. He looks like a Mexican. So it's like, but
reverse racism.
So I think that again, if it comes down to the wire though, and Cincinnati has the ball and they need a field goal to win, if Cincinnati has the ball last, mark it here. We're gonna cover it on the next episode. But straight Negro Damas out of here, Paul Mooney and Chappelle Show.
Yeah, you might make some people some real money.
I'm telling you, if Cincinnati has the ball and they need a field goal or a touchdown to win at the end, Cincinnati is going to win the game. There, I said it. I said what I said.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what does this have to do with the future of the Premier League? Let's talk about the real issues now.
No, we'll talk about black coaches in the NFL. Let's segue to that. Ed boy, you can kick that off. I got a lot. I'm gonna get in my soapbox on that too.
I feel like
you rather I?
We want your monologue because we want your I already have my opinion. I mean, my opinion's pretty non-controversial and pretty like straightforward. So I want to hear your take because it's probably way more nuanced.
Well, the NFL has had a problem hiring people of color for a while now. The quote-unquote Rooney Rule that was put in place.
Wait, hiring people of color for what? For
coaching in particular. For coaching. It's funny. DK said, I don't see color. I'm going to read out your quotes for our viewers. Hiring people of color, particularly black people, as coaches and executives, front office executives, has been a problem in the NFL for a number of years now, for probably since its inception, and it's always been something. Everyone talks about the color barrier in baseball. There have been multiple color barriers in football since the sport was invented. You know what I mean? Like before, blacks weren't allowed to like hold any major positions. So a black person can't be a center. That's like the quarterback of the offensive line. A black person can't be a quarterback. Oh my God, he doesn't have the mental capacity to run an offense and lead a team. You know what I mean? Or a black person can't win a Super Bowl as a coach or as a prominent like franchise player. You know what I mean? It just can't happen. And every single one of those.
But Mike Tomlin, Tony Dungy.
But Mike Tomlin and Tony Dungy, they've won Super Bowls. Doug Williams was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl as a quarterback. He did that for the Redskins back in the 80s. And Russell Wilson, he won a Super Bowl as a black quarterback. You see what I'm saying? Patrick Mahomes, he's a black quarterback. He won a Super Bowl. So those stereotypes have been debunked for years and years, but the NFL still has a problem. Going into this hiring cycle, there was only one black head coach in the NFL. Only one, Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Since then, 2 more black coaches have been hired, but now the percentages are still terrible. 3 out of 32 coaches in the NFL are black. And mind you, 70% of the players are black, but only less than, I don't know what the math, 3 out of 32. It's not a good percentage. So it's a problem. It's not fair, to answer DK's point. DK's frozen a smiling face now, so it's messing me up. but it's an issue. And if you want to take it a step further, it still goes to me. Still goes back to ownership, because there's one minority owner right now, the Khan family, who own the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Other than that, every single owner is white, and they come from old money. They come from Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, Ford money. The Ford family actually owns the Detroit Lions, another American institution. So again, if people in leadership are white, typically their employees, are going to reflect who they feel comfortable with. And that is in itself institutional racism. You don't hire the best candidate. You hire people that you feel comfortable with. And typically people who make you feel comfortable look like you. Hence institutional racism. So that's the issue. No. Just to wrap that's the point. That's the issue. Roger Goodell did like a summit with like the media during Super Bowl week, which he never does, in terms of like race relations and this, that, and the third. And a bunch of people in the media who are black, they were just keeping it a buck with him. They were asking him, like, listen, this is a problem. Can you at least acknowledge it's a problem? Because you denying it is kind of part of the problem. That's like, that's part of institutional racism, not even acknowledging that it's there. You know what I mean? Can you at least acknowledge it's a problem? And he at least acknowledged, he's like, yeah, it's a problem. We got to do better. So the issue is, how does it happen? And will it ever happen, at least in our lifetime? And I don't know. I can't answer that question.
Okay, so that's interesting. So what sparked this conversation in particular? Why is this conversation relevant now?
Well, what sparked it was Brian Flores, basically, who was the coach of the Miami Dolphins this past season. He got fired, and it was a very surprise firing because the Miami Dolphins, they didn't make the playoffs, but he had a winning record over his 2 years there. I think he was 19-14.
Yeah,
as a head coach.
Dolphins have sucked for forever, and now they've had 2 decent seasons, so like not playoff, but it's like enough to get people excited.
Yeah, they barely missed the playoffs last year, and they barely missed the playoffs this year. So they're like right there. And typically, when you have a team that is like on the cusp, you at least want to see it out. Whether the coach is black or white, they at least give the coach some leeway to like, okay, he just missed it. Let's give him some more draft picks, some more free agents. Let's maybe switch up some members on his staff, and let's give him a chance and whatnot. Typically, when a guy gets fired, he's coming off a miserable season where they won like 1 or 2 games, lost the locker room, is yelling with players, is yelling with freaking GM and front office people. That's typically when a coach gets fired, when the relationship between him and the front office like sours. And it turns out to a degree that was the case. Brian Flores was fired because the owner, for our listeners who don't know, the owner allegedly was trying to get him to lose games on purpose, and was willing to pay him $100,000 per loss to do so. So he refused to do that. He eventually was fired. But to take it a step further, the reason why he basically put a race lawsuit against the NFL for their hiring practices, a prominent coach, Bill Belichick, texted him the day before he was getting ready to go for an interview with the New York Giants, congratulating him. But it turns out that Bill Belichick was texting the wrong person. He basically butt dialed him. he texted the wrong person, not knowing that he was basically snitching and saying, listen, oh, my bad. The job that you're going for is already taken. So, oops. And it's being taken by a white guy. Oops. The optics look terrible. They look awful.
Yeah, that's bad optics. Damn, Bill Belichick womp.
So Brian Flores is suing
for everybody.
He's suing the NFL, and other coaches are coming forward saying that, listen, we've been put in similar situations. We've gone in for interviews knowing we weren't going to get the job, basically just to check off a box saying that they followed the Rooney Rule, basically affirmative action, reverse affirmative action. Like, yeah, we believe in affirmative action, and we should hire more people of color, but we're just gonna interview them, but we're actually not gonna hire them, because again, it comes back to owners in the NFL currently. They don't hire the best candidate, even if it is black. They hire the most comfortable candidate with them, and that person is typically 99.9% of the time white. That's a problem. So Brian Flores did help spearhead the conversation, at least.
That's really, if all the allegations are true, that's dirty in general. I wonder what could be the possible motivation to have him lose games? Is it, we're not making it to the playoffs anyway, so we can get a better draft position? What do you think?
I think it's strategy, you know what I mean, which is a problem. Once you, and again, that goes for any sport. Once you start having your ownership making football decisions, that is a red flag. Teams that typically do that, they'll never be in contention for championships, because owners aren't football people. They're rich people. They're business people. Like, your job is to make the organization money and profitable. You're already a millionaire or billionaire. You know what I mean? Your job isn't to make football decisions. That's not your lane. Stay in your lane. Your job is to hire people that make football decisions. So with the Dolphins, their owner's thinking, all right, if we lose games on purpose, we'll have a better draft position. We have a better draft position, we can get better players. And slowly, we can if we do that enough times, we can get good players, and we can turn it around. Now, when you do that, people are going to lose their job in the process. Like, if you lose every single game, it's very hard to sell to your fan base. Yeah, let's bring this guy back. We won 2 games last year. Let's run that shit back. It's a terrible business model, but but some owners have it in their mind that is the best way to go about building a successful team. So I think it was strategy on his part. It's an idiotic strategy because 9 times out of 10 it doesn't work. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. So basically, now Flores was being interviewed by the Giants, correct? And they had already made their decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what you can get from that is that, they already had their pick, but to fulfill the Rooney Rule, or to fulfill that mandate, they're like, yo, fuck it, let's just interview Flores, whatever, like that type of thing.
Yeah, and a lot of teams do that. Some teams they interview multiple black candidates, knowing that they're not going to hire any of them. Like look at the Bears. Like look at the Bears. Like the Chicago Bears, for our viewers and our listeners who don't know, they interviewed like 3 or 4 black candidates. And I'm thinking, oh shit, the Bears might actually hire a black coach. Like I don't think they have hired a black coach in their history. I don't think so. I'd have to look it up. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe the Bears are being progressive and maybe they're gonna, try something different, because the last few coaches they hired were complete idiots. They hired a white candidate. so why'd you interview 4 black candidates to make it seem that you're progressive? Ugh.
So maybe, I mean, it's hard, right? Because in individual cases, you could always be like, well, we feel like we handled the best person in the job. It's very easy to sort of dodge the accusation because like, we just interviewed 4 black candidates. They just weren't the guy for the job. Like, it's very easy to waive that. But at the same time, you could look at the greater sort of patterns and see that despite the fact that 70% of the league is black, that, there's like maybe 1 black coach and then maybe another here or there. Do you think then the Rooney Rule is just kind of like not effective? Because it seems like it incentivizes teams to just fulfill, like, just check a box, right? Like, it seems like the Rooney Rule might not even help anyone. Like, maybe there's another way to incentivize, teams to be more inclusive in their hiring process. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Because it just seems like, okay, well, I don't actually have to hire anybody. I just have to make it look like it, right? And it's like nod, wink, wink. And then you could always fall back and say, well, I interviewed this guy. He just wasn't the right guy for the job. It's like, I wonder if there's some sort of other incentive that could be put into place. Yeah,
I think they have to alter the rule, or come up with new type of legislation or new hiring practices. Whatever the process they have in place now is not working. That's what it comes down to. I think that the Rooney Rule is doing exactly what you mentioned just now. It's just checking off a box. Like, teams are just like, all right, we're not going to hire anybody black, but again, let's make it look like we are trying at least, even though we're going to keep doing whatever we're doing anyway, and nobody's going to tell us how to change it. You know what I mean? So it's going to come down to, honestly, like every major decision with the NFL is run by a fraternity of owners. The owners run professional football. It's different in baseball. Baseball, in a sense, you could really say that the players kind of run baseball, because the players.
They unionize super hard. They handle their shit like the players union for Major League Baseball. Like, when they want shit, they just shut it down. Like, they have no problems like doing like a lockout or a strike. They're just like, you know what? Nope, we're not playing. Yeah.
So I mean, that's what's going on, especially with in the NFL. Until the owners like sit down and really have like a real honest conversation, like, yo, we got to switch this shit up, man. We got to just start hiring more people of color. Like, we got to, like, these numbers are just wild. They're crazy. The media's killing us. We're getting crazy backlash for it. It's like causing like national outcry. It's not a good look for the brand, because at the end of the day,
maybe
honestly,
but is it hurting their pocket?
No, but here's. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's a great segue. It's not going to change until the bag is disrupted. That's with anything in professional sports, particularly professional football, which is the most popular, sport right now. You know what I mean? For instance, look at the Washington situation. The Washington Commanders. They just changed their name from the Redskins.
Wait, for real?
Yeah, they announced it. I think last week.
Wait, Commanders?
They're the
Oh my God, that's fucking horrible.
Or the Washington.
They should have just called
that's
January
like a creative team. That's a fucking.
That's a Madden creative team right there.
I'm the Washington Commanders. Like what? It's fucking stupid.
But look at the Washington Commanders.
Maybe they could have. Man, there's so many cool like names. Maybe they could even kept like reference to like Native Americans and shit. They could have been like the Washington tribe. That's dope. They could have did that. Shit. I don't know. They could have
tribe consisting of.
Okay, anyway, but yeah, I don't know. That shit is better than Commanders, but they definitely could have thought of something better. Like
they could have, but it's comedy. It's comedy. But
was there anything else that was brought up that was like the Beavers? I don't fucking know.
No, not the Beavers. I think the Washington Admirals. The Washington Red Tails, the Washington Red Hogs. There was a couple of
Red Hogs. That's a minor league baseball team.
My God!
Yeah. But the Red Tails. Okay.
The Red Tails goes back to like American history.
Yeah, it does. But that still sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, but they stuck with Commanders. But what I'm saying is they got to that name. And the only reason why the name change happened, their owner, a white guy who's historically had issues, Dan Schneider, he's historically
People
had
issues. People are just going to show up the games with no underwear.
No, they're going to show up dressed like freaking Nazis, like commies. That's how they're going to show up to the games or not. But their owner, Dan Schneider, he's historically had issues with misogyny and racism being an issue in his dealings with his team and his staff. He was not going to change the name of the team from the Redskins. They've been trying to change the name. Native American groups, even black groups, and other freaking minority groups have been saying, like, listen, we represent the city. We're black. We live here. We're not really cool with it either. You probably should change it. They're like, nah, I ain't changing it. I own the team. Sue me. So it wasn't until Nike and FedEx stepped in. Nike stopped selling Washington apparel on their website. They're like, listen, you can't sell any of your website. You can't sell any of your merchandise on our site anymore. And FedEx stepped in and said, listen, we're going to change the name of the stadium. You can't use FedEx anymore. So they were slated to lose somewhere around $1, $2, or $3 billion in just revenue, like in 1 year, just like that, if they didn't change their name. So the bag was disrupted and the change was made. They went to the Washington football team for 2 years, which was idiotic, but it happened.
I mean, I'll take the Washington football team over the Commandos. Like
the Washington
names? You better have the dopest fucking insignia. I don't know. Maybe they can make it work, but it sounds terrible.
It does.
But then again, it's probably because I'm used to the Redskins. Like, I
look at their uniforms. They're black uniforms that look actually pretty dope. I will give them that. But anyway. The bag was disrupted. The
Washington Negroes.
The bag was disrupted. The change happened until the owners step in, or unless they lose some sponsorship money or lose some major revenue from one of their donors or one of their sponsors or one of their advertisers, or lose a TV contract, God forbid. Unless something like really happens that moves the needle, the owners are going to be like, let's just keep it as is. Or they'll be like, all right, let's just give them what they want. Guys, Chuck, can you hire a black coach? Mike, can you hire a black coach? All right. All right, everybody. Okay, we're all gonna hire 2 or 3 extra black coaches this year. And we'll hire maybe a GM too. Everybody go with that? All right, cool. Give them what
Would you be okay if they were Candace Owens black coaches?
Candace Owens? You mean Clandis? Kundis?
What does that even mean? Like,
I don't know.
What was that question?
I don't know what that has to do with anything.
I don't even know what that means.
One of the good ones? One of the good ones? It's a problem, though. It's a problem, and it's kind of overshadowing the Super Bowl this year. If you want,
there has to be some sort of, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. There has to be some sort of objective measure, because I don't know. It's very hard. It's very hard because it's like it's one of those things where it's like it's kind of a catch-22. You could make the argument like these black coaches aren't similarly credentialed as these white coaches, right? So it's not racism. It's just a meritocracy. They just happen not to be qualified. But on the flip side, you can say, okay, let's say, and I'm not saying that is the case, but let's say that's objectively the case. You can just as easily say, hey, they're not as qualified because they never got these opportunities in the first place. So, the coach at, D1 programs or the coach under, Belichick or offensive coordinator here, whatever sort of credential. So I just wonder what can be done.
I can tell you
outside of sorry, what?
No, I can tell you what the issue is. Sorry to cut you off, but the main issue, aside from the institutional racism, which it's just there. It's like a BLT. Like, you don't mention the bread in a BLT. You just know it's there. Aside from the institutional racism, it's the cronyism. And that's a problem in other sports as well. Like, people hire their friends. They hire people that they have ties with. They their family has ties with, or they might have worked with back in the day, or they might have came up together or whatnot. But the problem with that, and why it ties back into institutional racism, is because
black people just happen not to be in the same circle.
Exactly. So you have head coaches and you have GMs who have ties to people they want to hire, but 99.9% of the time they're white people who have ties to other white people. You know what I mean? And that's
I know the solution.
And that's the issue.
Move to white neighborhoods and raise your kids among. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, people unironically believe that. But like, I was just talking shit.
Nah. When the owners decide, it's sad, but it's true, man. Because every single time the NFL has made like a major change with anything, even when the kneeling, for instance. Like the kneeling, like you got. Kaepernick,
oh my god, the kneeling is the dumbest shit ever.
That's a prime example.
Like who gives a fuck, bro?
Like Kaepernick never plays football ever again because of kneeling. So the owners get together and they decide, listen, it's bad optics. We're gonna have to pay him a shit ton of money in settlements, which they did. He's never gonna play football again. But so we can avoid that again. Let's make kneeling okay. But is everybody okay with like owners, us coming out to kneel with our players so it looks like it's an act of solidarity and not look like they're like bucking the system or whatnot? Everybody good with that? Okay, we're gonna kneel together. Now kneeling's okay. Now it's okay. See what I'm saying? Like that's how it exactly like Jerry Jones. It was sickening as a Cowboy fan, but I knew it was gonna happen. I called it. I was like, Jerry Jones is gonna come out and kneel with the team. Watch. I said it was gonna happen. And what happened? Like probably 2 weeks after the Kaepernick thing, Cowboys played a game in Arizona on Monday night. Before the game, Jerry Jones comes out with the entire team. The entire team takes a knee together. Because the owners decided, listen, let's just do something that we're comfortable with. Yep. It's okay. You know what I mean? But this guy does it on his own, and he never plays football again. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they knew he was never going to play football again. They knew they were going to have to pay him, and they did. So with this whole Brian Flores things, I'm interested to see how far he takes it. Is he just going to take the settlement money? Because he's going to get, like, the NFL is going to try to do that. They're going to just try to pay him off. And, like, listen, let's just give him a shit ton of money. He's never going to coach in our league again. You know what I mean? He can be an advocate in this, that, and third. Let's give him a whole bunch of millions. Let's give him a crazy number that he can't say no to. Give that to him, and let's just move on. Keep it right, status quo. We ain't hiring niggas.
But I mean, in the Kaepernick case, they kind of normalize people taking the knee. If we're following the same logic, will somehow Flores being, silently blackballed in another way make it so that there are more black coaches hired? Because I would just highlight something that would just make it so egregious that they would just have to be like, oh shit, now we have to do it. And then it's possible. And then they're all going to be shaking hands with like
Reverend Sharpton.
Yeah, no, exactly. Or like or to the point where like they're not even hiring like the actual black coaches that they should be, but hiring like the ex-coach of like Bishop Sycamore or some shit.
They're gonna hire like 5 or 10 black coaches next year, and then Reverend Sharpton and Michael Eric Dyson And
God.
Cornel West, they'll come to an NFL game. They'll come like at the middle of the field. They'll shake hands and take a picture with Roger Goodell, and it'll be like, "See, I'm not racist. We're not racist. We didn't have a race problem. We hire lots of niggas."
And I mean, you know, in a weird way, you know, you could say the fact that it's pushed by pressure and, you know, the threat of losing money, but can you say if it's a bad thing if it has a net positive outcome moving forward? That's more of a philosophical.
The main thing is it's rooted in institutional racism. And the problem with it being rooted in institutional racism is because you got two sides. You got a side of white people that know there's institutional racism and they're cool with it. They're just like, yeah, it is what it is. Like, so be it. I'm good with it. It's not bothering me. We're still making billions. And then you got the other side that are completely oblivious to it. They're just like, whoa, it can't, that can't be a problem. Like, no, racism, that's in the past. You know, that's in the past. We don't do that anymore. We've got plenty of black people, you know, being hired and this, that, and the third. And you kind of got those two worlds going at it at the top, you know what I mean, making the decisions and as the gatekeepers. But again, I stand firm in what I'm saying. There's the only way it changes is if at the top they decide that it changes. Like the quickest way for that is if money is disrupted. That is the quickest way because it's still capitalism at the end of the day. That it's so funny that so many of the topics that we cover here on this show for how many years now, it always comes back to that. It always comes back to that because again, this is America. This is what we're rooted in. You know, I mean, this is where our history, anything business-wise, our politics, our economic system, our everything comes back to capitalism. So the NFL is making a shit ton of money right now. The revenue is as good as it's ever been. The TV contracts are out the wazoo. Exposure and popularity is at an all-time high. But this is still an issue. And, you know what I mean? Again, when ownership decides that, listen, we've got to appease the masses somehow and throw them a bone and start hiring more blacks as coaches and as GMs. Until they make the decision, nothing's going to change. And that's just because every other major decision that's ever happened has changed when they've decided because, you know, that's the way it's set up. In baseball, the players decide what goes down. In basketball, for the most part, the players decide what goes down. In football, however, the ownership decides what happens. And you know, the players they have a say. They have a say, but they don't make major decisions like this, dog. Nah, there's nothing they can do.
So maybe.
So that's what.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's 70%. You would think with a 70% majority that you think that would not be the case, but that is definitely it is what it is, bro.
Well, that's a good point. It seems like in onus, if there wants to be a change, there has to be on the onus of the players to assert themselves because they are largely the product, right? And it seems like other sports have collectively have a decent hold of their respective organizations, of their respective sports. So it's up to the players. And I think if the players collectively decide that this is a thing that they care about, then I think changes will be made. But I think a lot of it has to do with them and whether they even care. Because, you know, I don't know. Who knows? Even though a large percentage of the NFL is black, I don't know. Maybe they don't give a fuck. I don't know. Who knows? Like, who knows what people are thinking? So I think that would be a big boon as well. So that was a good point.
We'll see. I just want, again, I'm going to keep tabs on this story because, again, I work in the world of sports. And, of course, I'm a fan of it. But I just want to see how far Brian Flores in particular, because he's the one that really got the conversation really rolling here in 2022 with this lawsuit. I want to see where he takes this. I want to see how far he takes this. Because if he just stops with the money, it'll just be, all right, it was a money grab. Just like Kaepernick. Kaepernick kind of stopped with the money. Like once he got paid, he's not really complaining to get back in the league anymore. Not a knock on him, because I'm sure, because he is woke. He's doing a lot of things for the cause, so to speak. He's doing a lot of things for the black community and social justice and this, that, and third. But I'm talking just in particular, his fight against the NFL. he's not really going in against the NFL anymore because he got paid. He's got no reason to anymore. They paid him. So he really doesn't have a reason to sue the NFL anymore.
Well, he won. He saved potential CTE and all the other things that come from being a high level professional athlete. So he made out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he wish he would play, but I mean, I don't know. I'm probably projecting, but if I was a professional athlete and I got a sum of money where I don't have to be one anymore in a sport like football, I might not be one. I might just be like, you know what? Time to call it a career. Let me do some.
It's been a good ride. It's been a good ride.
let me do some woke shit for Phil Knight real quick.
Yeah, let me trade crypto. Buy NFT.
NFTs. Me buy some $1 million receipts.
So we'll see. We'll of course keep the updates coming here throughout. Like if any major breaking things happen in the case over the next few months or over the next year or for a few years, however long this drags on. But it is a major topic. It's crazy. This topic in particular is overshadowing the Super Bowl this year. 100%. 1,000%. You can't be a supporter or follower or fan of the NFL right now and not say that, oh, it's just been about football this whole Super Bowl week. Like, nah.
You sure?
It's been about this. I'm talking about the majority. I'm talking about the majority of people you talk to. It's been about this, bro. It's been about this.
Are you overestimating? Because like you're in a certain sphere where you keep up with this and you talk to people who are informed and keeping up with the news. Do you think the average person, like, you know what I mean? Like I know about it. And this isn't based on anything, but I have a feeling like the average consumer, let's say the average white guy in the middle of like doesn't give a fuck about any of this.
Well, then again, see, you can say that. You can say that. And I'm
not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just saying,
I'm just giving you both sides of the coin. Like you can say that, but then the national wrestling promo shows, the national shows or whatever that cover sports, they've been wall to wall talking about this literally every single day, leading up to the Super Bowl, which is this Sunday. This story has not gone away. It's not like they talked about it for 1, 2, 3 days and then Super Bowl week. It's been Super Bowl week, but by the way, Brian, like we still have an issue with, and again, you want further proof. Roger Goodell had a freaking racial freaking summit with the media, bro. That's never happened before, especially on Super Bowl week. Come on, man. He's never done that before with a topic like this, especially race related, leading up to the freaking Super Bowl, because they don't want to do that. They want to talk about, they want Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That's what the NFL wants. You know what I mean? Especially if it's not like one of their prominent, high-profile teams. The fact that the Rams are hosting the Super Bowl, it's in Los Angeles. This is supposed to be an historic, major, big money grab for the NFL, just like last year's Super Bowl was with the Bucks hosting. You know what I mean? This is not what they wanted at all.
It's probably going to be one regardless.
So so they're going to make. No, I'm saying they're going to make their money. They're going to make their money regardless because, dude, the NFL is freaking. They're WWE. They're Vince McMahon. They're gonna get paid regardless. You know what I mean? They're the evil empire. They're gonna get fed.
Oh, they make more money than Vince McMahon, but
way more money. You know what I mean? And they're publicly traded, so that's the only thing they really have in common. But bro, I think last year they made something like $6 or $8 billion, and they're gonna make more with these TV contracts. They're gonna make their money regardless. But I'm saying from a PR standpoint and from a news outlet and media attention standpoint, this is here. And this has been a mainstay this entire build-up leading up to the Super Bowl. So no, does this hurt them? No, but it's here. You can't dismiss it like in the past. You can't. That's what you can't do. You can't dismiss it. You can't dismiss it and say that this is a problem. At least we got the Rooney Rule, because that's been their go-to every year that something like this has been brought up. It was just like, we got the Rooney Rule. So you got a dude who's still in the NFL leading up to the Super Bowl. That's national news, bro.
Your speech cadence, 100% for a few seconds went into Stephen A. Smith territory.
Hey,
For sure.
He has his moments.
For sure.
He's a smart guy. He started out as a journalist.
Ugo A. Smith.
Yeah, I'd love to debate that guy, by the way. You know what I mean? I got a lot of respect for him, but I could take him.
Oh, you heard it here first. Stephen A. Smith is a bitch. No,
Come see me. Go
no, that's the thing. He can't see you.
You go, boy.
He can't see you. That's the thing. Stephen A. Smith, you can't see him. You're scared. Shots fired. If you don't respond in 24 hours, you're fired.
Jonah the Great drops next week. Video drops in March. How's your boy? I'm waiting for TK to say, and that's the bass. Dominican Zordon.
He's a little slow. Let's wait for it.
It's el beso.
Okay.
Yeah, oh girl, I love the way she do it. She get low like it's nothing really to it. She pick it up and she spin it back around and she get it from my mama. Damn, I knew it. Ezoku. Nice job, boy. Ibu Kwenu, yeah, that's true. She move her hips so proper. Yeah, and she look like Rihanna.